Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology grounded in love, a love which calls us to see the holy in each being and to take compassionate action in our world. In this space, we gather with open minds, open hearts, and open hands to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and growth, welcoming people of all nations, all creeds, all ages, all genders, all cultures, and all kinds of love. Whether you're here every week, came today for the first time, or stop in once in a while, we celebrate all of who you are and all you are becoming. You are welcome here.
Good morning. I'm Hala Hazar, this morning's worship coordinator. Today we welcome Reverend Fred Small, our community minister for climate justice, back to the high pulpit. Fred is a Unitarian Universalist pastor, singer-songwriter, and former environmental lawyer, and was a classmate of Rev. Parisa in Divinity School. Welcome, Fred. Fred and I are joined by Shay Brown, Hyungju Shu, and our Arlington Street choir and soloists in leading worship today. We couldn't do this without all the people supporting the Zoom congregation, as well as the tech team, greeters, ushers, worship team, and coffee hour hosts. Thank you, friends. If you're new to Arlington Street, welcome. We are so glad you're here and would love to stay connected. I hope you will visit our website at ascboston.org and sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. If you're in the sanctuary, please fill out the pew card and put it in the basket during offering time to let us know how to be in touch with you. On the last page of the order of service, you'll find information on upcoming Arlington Street events. There is a lot going on, both in person and on Zoom, and we'd love to see you this week. If you'd like to submit an announcement, please email the church office at office@ascboston.org by Wednesday evening so it can be included in the e-newsletter and the order of service. If you came this morning with a joy or concern in your heart, you are invited to light a candle at home and share in the chat, or come up and light a silent candle at the table to the right of the Gleason podium. We also have some opportunities to be together in person and on Zoom to connect and deepen our relationships. For the coming weeks, we'll have pastoral caregivers available before the service beginning at 10:30 a.m. in the back pew on the far right as you enter the sanctuary, and after the service for Zoom congregants in a special breakout room. If you need a listening ear, a real or virtual hug, or emotional support for these times, you are warmly invited to connect. Keith is going to turn the camera on the in-person congregation as we wave and smile at each other, as well as at our friends in the Zoom room, and you all in the Zoom room can wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Be like the bird that, pausing in her flight, all while on boughs to slight, feels them give way beneath her, and sings and sings and sings, knowing she hath wings.
In shaping the snow into blossoms, the north wind is tender after all. All beings are deceived by light and shadow. Beyond the horizon, when did the moon ever wax and wane? In this hazy world, I have forgotten the first word, nor will I ever know the last.
I invite you to rise in body and spirit for our opening hymn, Keep On Moving Forward. We'll do it a few times so you'll catch on to the melody, but there's a fun clapping and tapping part that I'm going to teach to you if you want to join. It's really simple, and it's just you just do that a few times, and you'll know when it's coming, because all of us will do it. So the rhythm is going to be, let's do it. Ready? 2, 3, 4. You can rise in body and spirit. All right. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. 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 Never turning
In this season of covenant renewal, we renew our commitment of love and service and make pledges of financial gifts to support Arlington Street and our work in the world. Covenant Renewal is March 2nd, and as our theme is Rooted and Thriving. As we prepare, we're hearing the stories of commitment and community from a different member or members each week. This morning, Harry Kelso will share his testimonial.
Hello, my name is Harry, and I've been coming to Arlington Street Church for a little over a year now. It's felt longer though, because of the depth of my connections here and getting roped into things like the Covenant Renewal Committee. Growing up, my mother's family was Catholic, and my father's family very occasionally went to the local Unitarian Universalist church. But I found spirituality in the teachings of Carl Sagan, the late astronomer turned science communicator. His musings about the pale blue dot truly resonated with me. It's his name for the farthest ever image taken of Earth, where our planet appears as a minuscule pixel of light 4 billion miles away. Sagan waxes poetically about the absurdity of war and destruction when viewed from this galactic angle, and how every single moment of human history took place on this tiny, tiny, fragile speck floating in space. In his words, to me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. When I moved to Cambridge a couple autumns ago, I wanted to find a new church and an even stronger community. I'm so happy to have wandered into Arlington Street. I knew right from the rubber ducky Queen Cheryl gave me that this was someplace different, someplace special. The grandiosity of the sanctuary, the Tiffany stained glass, clapping and singing along to Where You Go at the culmination of each service. It all became a breath of fresh air to start off every single week. But like the pale blue dot that is our planet, it's easy to think of Arlington Street Church as inevitable, as a time-tested beacon of light and love surely to withstand the headwinds of future change. But I try to remember this space, this community, is special precisely because it is one of a kind, and to not take that for granted. If we want to deepen our roots and thrive as a collective, then it's going to take all of us. That's why I'm renewing my covenant with Arlington Street Church this year. While it is a pledge of financial support, I am also pledging my time and service to this spiritual sanctuary. Because I love how the service begins not when we enter, but when we exit, and manifest the spirit of this congregation in our day-to-day lives. So please join me in making our pale blue dot and Covenant Renewal Sunday just a little bit brighter. Thank you.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. Let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
A mixed candle from Claire Humphrey. My father, Lee Humphrey, passed away at 93. It was peaceful and he was ready to go. He loved classical music, literature, and poetry. He was a big basketball fan, often railing that the three-point shot had ruined the game. Lee gave generously of his time, money, and intellect to many progressive social and cultural causes, candidates, and organizations. His life was a life well lived, leaving the world a better place, and a slew of people carrying love and admiration for him in their hearts. A mixed candle from Rev. Ali Jablonski at the National Park Service's erasure of references to transgender people from the Stonewall National Monument website. This is Sarah Cunningham, founder of Free Mom Hugs. The revision is not just a change in language, it is an intentional act of erasure that denies the full history of the LGBTQ plus movement. Stonewall was a turning point in the fight for equality, led in no small part by transgender women of color, including Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. Their bravery and advocacy paved the way for the progress we see today. To reduce Stonewall's legacy to just LGB is a betrayal of the truth and an insult to those who fought and continue to fight for full inclusion and equality. The LGBTQ plus community is not divisible. We do not get to pick and choose whose history is worthy of being told. Our transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse siblings have always been part of the movement, and their stories deserve to be honored, not erased. We are devastated at this action and at the hate and prejudice fueling it. We are grateful to Sarah and all who have been protesting in Boston and Stonewall and all over the country. To our trans, non-binary, gender-expansive siblings within and beyond these walls, we value you. We will do everything we can to protect you. We love you always. A candle of sorrow from Kyle Barrington. I would like to share a candle for justice in Palestine. I pray for an end to the genocide, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing there. A final candle of sorrow from Ken Silber. For my father, Al Silber, who passed away on January 22nd.
Some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A final Valentine's Day candle of joy from Reverend Fred Small, in gratitude for his wife Julie, whom he met 30 years ago next month.
For all the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. may the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, for all nations, and for all beings. Amen.
Please join in saying the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Our next hymn is hymn 287, Faith of the Larger Liberty. The words to sing along can be found in the order of service and in the chat. Let's rise now in body, rise in spirit, and sing together hymn 287, Faith of the Larger Liberty.
If you were to leave the sanctuary through the main doors and head east, skirting the public garden and angling across the common in barely half a mile, you might find yourself at West Street, which connects Tremont and Washington Streets. One of the less imposing structures on this unexceptional street, 13 West Street, still displays a sign for Papagayo, a restaurant that closed several years back, the edifice now grimy and padlocked, the windows obscured by a rusting metal grate. A small plaque on the facade informs the alert passerby that 13 West Street was once the site of Elizabeth Peabody's bookshop. Quote, a meeting place for transcendentalists and intellectuals. Journalist Margaret Fuller gave lectures here called Conversations, which were an important part of the early American feminist movement. All true, so far as it goes. But in reciting so dispassionately the bare facts, in failing utterly to invoke the courage and consequence, the insurgency and inspiration, the resolve and revolution of what transpired there from 1839 to 1844, that plaque not only disappoints, I think it demeans the astonishing and audacious legacy of Margaret Fuller. Born in 1810 at 71 Cherry Street in Cambridge, Sarah Margaret Fuller changed who we are today. As a religious movement and as a people, we are more just, more egalitarian, more compassionate, because Margaret Fuller lived. Her father was a prominent attorney and later United States Senator. Her mother, a demure beauty, well-trained in domestic skills. Neither one ever knew quite what to make of their precocious daughter. By age 5, she was reading adult books. By age 6, reciting Virgil to her father after his evening tea. Striving to satisfy his perfectionism, she began to experience nightmares, sleepwalking, and piercing headaches, the last of which plagued her all of her life. When her parents left for Washington, 11-year-old Margaret was dispatched to Dr. Park's School for Girls in Boston, where she outshone her classmates in academics, but lagged in social graces. Her friend William Henry Channing, nephew of the Reverend William Ellery Channing, who served this church for 4 decades, William Henry Channing recalled her predicament. She was considered a prodigy of talent and accomplishment, but a sad feeling prevailed that she had been overtaxed by her father, who wished to train her like a boy, and that she was paying the penalty for undue application in nearsightedness, awkward manners, extravagant tendencies of thought, and a pedantic style of talk that made her a butt for the ridicule of frivolous companions. Margaret herself wrote starkly in her journal, "I made up my mind to be bright and ugly." At age 16, she completed her formal studies. Her male contemporaries were graduating from Harvard, bound for law, medicine, politics, the ministry, and university teaching. In 1826, all of these vocations were closed to women. But Fuller had an extraordinary talent: friendship. In groups, she tended to declaim with learned ostentation, but in individual conversation, she was capable of drawing out the most reserved soul. She could not make a journey or go to an evening party, Ralph Waldo Emerson recalled, without meeting a new person who wished presently to impart his history to her. It was Fuller's skill at conversation, far more than writing, that made her famous. Another Unitarian friend, the Reverend Frederick Henry Hedge, observed, "Her speech, though finished and true as the most deliberate rhetoric of the pen, had always an air of spontaneity which made it seem the grace of the moment, the result of some organic provision which made finished sentences as natural to her as blundering and hesitation are to most of us." Emerson called her conversation the most entertaining in America. But even her friend Channing conceded that her intense self-certainty and acerbic satire could overwhelm. She paid slight heed to the trim palings of etiquette, but swept through the garden beds and into the doorway of one's confidence so cavalierly that a reserved person felt inclined to lock himself up in his sanctum. For a woman, the price of intellectual distinction was sexual disqualification. I love best to be a woman, Fuller confessed, though womanhood is at present too straitly bounded to give me scope. Even could she have found the man who could tolerate her brilliance, the life of letters she craved could not coexist with conjugal domesticity. A married man could retreat to his library for hours on end, at once protected and left alone by his wife. A married woman, obligated to chores and social calls, had no such luxury even before children occupied her sphere. Fuller's relations with American men remained chaste, even when both parties imagined more. A journal entry gives voice to her anguish. With the intellect, she wrote, with the intellect I always have, always shall overcome. But the life, my God, shall the life never be sweet? Fuller found solace in a religious faith that embraced both the Christian Unitarianism of William Ellery Channing and the transcendentalism of Ralph Waldo Emerson. At the age of 21, she was transformed by a mystical experience. Provoked by the facile optimism of a Unitarian Thanksgiving Day sermon, probably not too different from one of mine, she remembered, I felt within myself great power and generosity and tenderness, but it seemed to me as if they were all unrecognized and as if it was impossible that they should be used in life. I was only 21. The past was worthless, the future hopeless. After the service, Fuller fled into the dark woods, where the sun suddenly shone with transparent sweetness, and she felt transported. I saw there was no self, that selfishness was all folly and the result of circumstance, that it was only because I thought self real that I suffered, that I had only to live in the idea of all, and all was mine. I was for that hour taken up into God. Although she could not preserve that sense of oneness with all things, its memory sustained her the rest of her life. The next year, her father abruptly moved the family to the then remote town of Groton. For 22-year-old Margaret, bred to the heady talk and well-stocked libraries of Cambridge, Groton was a dismal exile. A conversationalist bereft of stimulating conversation, she chafed under the dutiful daughter's domestic chores and feared lest they become her permanent lot. When 3 years later her father died, Fuller took over management of the household and care of her younger siblings. And her nightmare seemed real. Rescue came in a burgeoning friendship with her conquered neighbor, Waldo Emerson. Emerson both admired and challenged Fuller's intellect, while she lowered the drawbridge of his famous self-reliance, calling him to deepen his affections. Margaret made Waldo laugh rather more than he liked. They kept each other on their toes. You cannot predict her opinion, Emerson marveled. She sympathizes so fast with all forms of life that she talks never narrowly or hostilely, nor betrays, like all the rest, under a thin garb of new words, the old droning cast iron opinions or notions of many years' standing. When Emerson, Hedge, Alcott, Parker, and others formed a discussion group they called the Transcendental Club, Fuller was among the inner circle and the first editor of its literary journal, The Dial. Fortified by this company, Fuller hit upon a way to support herself. In an age where the lecture circuit was both popular entertainment and a lucrative vocation for men, Fuller realized that women would pay to join in educational conversations in private homes. More than mere income, these conversations offered a means of elevating women's self-image. By engaging their minds, Fuller would show them their minds were worth engaging, and the equal of men's, though denied their education and their flattery. Fuller's conversations proved a raging success. For 4 years, they were faithfully attended by ladies who braved ridicule or worse from their husbands. One traveled from New York City for these conversations. And one subscriber described the experience: as I sat there, my heart overflowed with joy at the sight of the bright circle. For I know not where to look for so much character, culture, and so much love of truth and beauty in any other circle of women and girls. The question, the high point from which it was considered, and the earnestness and simplicity of the discussion, as well as the gifts and graces of the speakers, gave it the charm of a Platonic dialogue. There was no pretension or pedantry in a word that was said. The conversations faltered only once, when Fuller made the mistake of inviting men, who dominated the discussion while the women lapsed into deferential silence. When Fuller reverted to a women-only format, the magic returned. Inspired by the conversations, Fuller in 1843 published an article demanding complete equality for women, educational, vocational, legal, and political. Defending the right of women to remain unmarried, she condemned the fault of marriage and of the present relation between the sexes, that the woman belongs to the man instead of forming a whole with him. 2 years later, Fuller expanded her article into a book, Woman in the 19th Century. She called upon every woman to form her self-image based upon her own values and to lay aside all thoughts such as she habitually cherishes of being taught and led by men. Only women who respect themselves, she argued, are capable of mature relationships. Union is possible, she wrote, only to those who are units. To be fit for relations in time, souls, whether of man or woman, must be able to do without them in the spirit. To Fuller, gender meant difference, not dichotomy. Male and female, she wrote, are perpetually passing into one another. Fluid hardens to solid, solid rushes to fluid. There is no wholly masculine man, no purely feminine woman. In families that I know, some little girls like to saw wood, others to use carpenter's tools. When these tastes are indulged, cheerfulness and good humor are promoted. When they are forbidden, because such things are not proper for girls, they grow sullen and mischievous. To women's vocation, Fuller saw no limit. Let them be sea captains, she declared. Applying her unstinting intellect to other inequalities, Fuller began to speak out for the rights of prisoners, indigenous people, enslaved Africans, and those mired in poverty. In 1846, Fuller sailed to Europe, not as a sea captain, but as the first female foreign correspondent in United States history. In Italy, she felt strangely at home in a way she never had in New England. While visiting St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome, she became separated from her companions and realized she was lost in the deepening shadow. Suddenly, a gentleman appeared and offered his assistance. He was Giovanni Angelo Ossoli. At 26, 11 years younger than Margaret. Within weeks, they were lovers. Within months, she gave birth to a son. Motherhood suited Margaret more than anyone might have predicted, including her. She doted on her child. But when the Italian movement for democracy boiled into revolution, Fuller volunteered to direct a military hospital. The human devastation she witnessed there and the swift collapse of the democratic forces impressed Fuller with human limitation, including her own. Fuller's marriage drew attention on both sides of the Atlantic, much of it caustic. "What a strange story, is it not?" taunted one male observer. "Now that the scornful, man-hating Margaret of 40 has got a husband, really no old maid need despair while there is life in her body." Others were scandalized by the likelihood that Fuller had been pregnant on her wedding day. But the passages of war and motherhood had led Fuller to a deeper peace. She counseled her friends not to feel anxious about people's talk concerning me. It's not directed against the real Margaret, but a phantom. People, when they see me, will not generally be inclined to injure me, for they will see the expression of a heart bettered by experience, more humble and tender, more anxious to serve its kind than ever before. Preparing to return to America, Fuller was troubled by frequent reports of shipwreck. She prayed that it may not be my lot to lose my babe in the sea, either by unsolaced sickness or amid the howling waves, or that if I should, it may be brief anguish. And Ossoli, he and I go together. Her last prayer was granted. On July 19, 1850, the ship Elizabeth foundered off Fire Island. As the vessel broke apart, Margaret Fuller and her husband and child drowned in the roiling sea. Just 3 months later, the first National Women's Rights Convention in Worcester drew over 1,000 participants, with more turned away at the doors. Margaret Fuller was to have been a featured speaker, and many had high hopes she would take up the mantle of leadership of the new movement. Had she done so, she might have challenged and guided the American conscience for the next half-century. Even with Fuller's life cut short at the age of 40, Elizabeth Cady Stanton called her the most influential woman in history. We will never know how much we lost to the stormy Atlantic that day. By refusing to veil her brilliance in domesticity, Margaret Fuller did not merely assert women's equality, she proved it to a doubting world. Today, as we experience the menace and dread of rising authoritarianism, bigotry, and oppression, we can find wisdom and comfort in Fuller's example. Like Fuller, we can choose to be our authentic selves, never trimming our sails to accommodate the prevailing winds. We can insist upon pointing out the connections among the injustices suffered by diverse communities in our society. We can risk our lives to oppose tyranny wherever it threatens. Most of all, we can cultivate communities of affection, joy, and resistance to sustain us through our shared struggles. Communities like Arlington Street Church. You can still read the inscription on Margaret Fuller's memorial in Mount Auburn Cemetery in Cambridge. By birth, a child of New England. By adoption, a citizen of Rome. By genius, belonging to the world. Amen. And blessed be.
Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us. And our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. Our Share the Plate partner this month is Renewal House, a program of the UU Urban Ministry. In operation since 1980, Renewal House was one of the first domestic violence shelters in the state to provide shelter for male survivors, and now works closely with programs across Greater Boston in order to bring culturally responsive and LGBTQ inclusive advocacy and counseling to those they serve. Renewal House is supported in part by federal funding that flows through state programs for public health and victims of crime, funding that we all know is now at risk. In supporting Renewal House this morning, we hope to offer some measure of assurance that we will stand by those seeking safety under any circumstance. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to sustain our beloved Arlington Street. You can give online at ascboston.org or find instructions in the order of service for giving via QR code, Venmo, text. You can also mail a check to the church or use envelopes in the pews, which can be given to the ushers as they come through momentarily with collection plates. Thank you for your generosity.
Show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. 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 These times are poignant, the winds have shifted. It's all we can do to stay uplifted. Pipelines through backyards, wolves howling out front. Yeah, I got my crew, but truth is what I want. Realigned and on point, power to the peaceful, prayers to the water, women at the center. All vessels open to give and receive. Let's see the system brought down to its knees. Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, 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 whoa, oh, oh. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. voice feels tiny, and I'm sure so does yours. Put us all together, make a mighty roar. The movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen.
I'll need a chord. Beautiful, thank you. Some of the elders here may remember a hit song in the 60s by the Edwin Hawkins Singers, Oh Happy Day. Edwin Hawkins also wrote this next song, I Feel Like Going On. And the words, yes, they are in the order of service. You don't actually have to look at them because they are very simple, and I will feed them to you when the time comes. But if it makes you feel good to hold on to that piece of paper, I won't stand in your way. Please rise in body or in spirit, and I'll teach you this song. Chord again, please. Thank you. I feel like going on. I feel like going on. Though trials come at every hand, I feel like going on. Try that with me. I feel like going on. 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 Though trials come at every hand, I feel like going on. I see a distant star. Try it. I see a distant star. I see a distant star. I see a distant star. Though trials come at every hand, I see a distant star. Nice and soft. I hear a still small voice. I hear a still small voice. I hear a still small voice. Though trials come at every hand, I hear a still small voice. I know we shall be free. 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 Though trials come at every hand, I know we shall be free. Last time, I feel like going on. 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 Though trials come at every hand, I feel like going on. Beautiful singing. Before our benediction, I invite Those of you in the Zoom room, to reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. And those of us here in the sanctuary, please raise your hands, palms out. Let's send loving kindness to the people to your left and to your right. Send loving kindness to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. As you feel it coming back, bring your hands back to your heart center to carry the love that is the spirit of this congregation with you wherever you may go. The words of Barbara Peskin. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to live mightily, to bow to the mystery. May love hold us all until we meet again. Our worship is ended. Our service begins. Amen.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.